Hello all, welcome to the presentation. Today's subject is excitement of operating ham radio. My name is Kiran Padiyar, my call sign Victor Uniform 2 X-ray Echo. Little bit about myself. I was a DIY enthusiast from my high school days. Onwards I became hooked to scientific aspect and electronics. I pursued electronics engineering. I was a very avid shortwave listener, DXer during my college days as well. I went on to give my ham radio exam in Mangalore in 95 and got my ticket in 97. I had my first shack in Mumbai in 2000. I operated from Mumbai very actively from 2000 to 2003. And then had to relocate to US on a morning QTH assignment. I returned back in 2009 end. When I came back from US, I had a lot of ideas about doing ham radio once again, setting up the station and all. I started with the simple hex beam at my native QTH, which is Panemangalore, around 20 kilometers east of Mangalore city. There I set up my simple station with the Yasu 857 and hex beam. I entered first solo contest there and made only I think 120 contacts, which I felt was a very good operation. Later I moved to Bangalore again for morning QTH, and in 2011 I started setting up the station once again in Bangalore. This time I got hooked to DXing and contesting aspects of ham radio. Till 2017 I was very active on the higher HF bands. 2017 onwards, due to some constraints and obstruction of buildings, I had to go for portable operation. This slide summarizes evolution in the hobby, starting from my early days of DIY on the left side, with some basic transmitter circuits and some experimentation circuits to SDR, introduction to SDR with the soft rock in 2012, building hex beam antenna and then verticals in 2018, and many other projects later. Here are my shack photos from 2003 onwards. 2003 I was in Mumbai. Then 2012 I got my first Diamond DXCC from ARRL program. These are my QSL cards. Nowadays I use most of the electronic formats for the speed and economic reasons. Let's go back to some basics. So let's talk about what a hobby is from Wikipedia definition perspective. It's more to do with the leisure for personal enjoyment, typically during our leisure time. Ham radio, amateur radio is a hobby. We use frequency spectrum allocated for hobby use, for non-commercial exchange of messages, self-training, private recreation, radio sports, contesting, emergency communications, and things like that. Going back, when we start, we all start with some excitement. Some of us join because having a wireless handy in our hands is a cool thing. Talking across the globe is wonderful. Ham service in calamities is a great service to humanity. Then license to experiment is a great privilege. Making pals, making new friendship with very different type of geographies and countries is simply amazing. Is another excitement part, right? But fast forward a few years into the hobby, where we will end up. Most of the people in the hobby start talking to each other via local repeaters or handhelds, or some simple HF station with 40 meter, and they talk to the same people, forgetting about the spirit of the hobby, right? Just considering one aspect of it rather than the full spectrum of privileges and areas. If it was just for the communication utility perspective, which is questionable nowadays by the youngsters will ask you this question: if there is a smartphone in my hand, I can do a communication with Australia, New Zealand, anywhere, Antarctica or whoever I want, I can communicate with the cell phone or a satellite phone, which is commercially supported. What is the excitement which you have? It could have been just that instead of VHF handy, which we thought that utility, which we can connect every night over a repeater net or over a ham net regionally, right? It is just that the youngsters ask this question, and we are into the whirlpool of those questions today. We are losing out on the excitement part. We have to remind once again that phone, internet, TV, all these are not hobbies. Ham radio is a hobby, and hobbies are exciting. Excitement is also in the DNA of this hobby. It is not somewhere out that somebody has to excite us. We got excited, we joined. Question is, are you ready to live and enjoy this hobby? It is very simple. Getting on the air, using the privileges given to us with a simple setup. That's all is required to get excited once again. Numerous other ways and modes which have come during last few years. We don't have to compromise family time. It's still considered as a hobby. Let us not forget about what metal we are built on. Let's now talk about type of operations a ham radio hobbyist can engage in. First, I would say that emergency comms, when the time is critical, calamity is hit, that is the important thing that is in the limelight. Next is field days, the preparedness and about education. I will go over all this in detail later. DXpedition, activating rare entity, going to the rare island or a country, putting up stations there, making a huge number of contacts with the other stations, other countries across the world. Contests, competitive sport, part of this excitement where technology and operating skill is very must for winning the game. It is a game of making QSOs, and of course the leisure time at home QTH, doing homebrews, doing improvements, doing DX, chasing, finding new countries, attending contests and all that. Emergency communication, it is mostly when the calamity strikes, first 72 hours, that is 3 days, are very critical. When the major communications have broken down, government agencies are still working out the logistics. Every hour goes by is most critical, and local hams, local groups can activate within few hours and put up their emergency stations to connect and to mobilize the agencies when required, right? This type of communications mostly depend on VHF, repeaters, near vertical incidence skywave propagations on 80-40 meters. Typical antennas here are the verticals, normal repeater access Yagis, low dipoles in those situations. But it is the time is most critical in this aspect. Then comes field days, where the education and preparing for emergencies, preparing for going out in the field and operating is the key. Activating with a group of people, mentoring others, public awareness, and all these are the things which we do in the field days. It is more of similar lines as emergency communication, but it is more preparing ourselves, training ourselves, getting used to the situations. It is a fun event as well. There would be scoring for contacting others. There would be other measures of points and things like that. Who can use solar power, who can use the remotest location. All this counts in field days. But it need not be just limited to national field day activity. It can be a local club field day, club group organized ones. Or it can be a couple of friends going together to a hilltop or to a remote island and all that. Here we can try a lot of things for lightweight operation. Next comes DXpedition, rare country and island activation, like VU7 Tango and VU4 KV, which I was part in 2014 and 17 respectively. It is a slightly serious part of activation in terms of making number of QSOs. It is not about emergency or field preparation. It is more of activating entity and making as many contacts as possible, giving out those chances to the remote ham radio operators to work that country. It requires a lot of planning, coordination from months together, sometimes years together, lot of time and money consuming activity. It is kind of a multi-station operation and requires a lot of technical know-how as well as a team gelling and coming together as well. So here the operation skills, technical skills, logistics and many other skills have to come together. Here a lot of antennas will be tried to focus on some geographies of interest where there is a demand to the DX location and all that. So in VU4KV, for example, in the lower photo, we had vertical dipole arrays, the gang of them. Like for every band, we had a 2-element arrays standing on the beach, and then we had phased verticals, 4 squares, and we also had Yagis for 6 meters and a lot of listening antennas, things like that. So it is very comprehensive activation, I would say. Contest is all about technique, technology and operating skills. This is my photo from my QTH where I operated 2016 or 17 one of the contest using spider beam and homebrewed amplifier. Here being most efficient in your home station, knowledge about antennas, knowledge about your own location, propagation time, what time the band opens, everything matters a lot. It's nothing like everybody would be 5.9 plus signal at your end. So working those weak signals, getting across your signal out as efficiently as possible are some of the activities we have to focus on. And then even QRP level. I have worked till 50 watt level because most of my early years were 50 watt restricted. So till 2015 I have operated only 50 watt and I have made numerous contacts. I think one of my personal best till now is on CW, about 1000 contacts in 48-hour contest using less than 50 watts. QRP also is one of the challenging areas where people can get on and make a lot of contacts during the contest. I would say that they are not a 5.9 QRM crowd. Contest takes year-long preparation to come to that stage. It is a kind of a continuous improvement and evolution. The contesters, I would say that work round the year to get on to that date, and when they get into the contest, it's really a contest. Home QTH is where everything brews. You do leisure QSOs, you enjoy relaxing on the radio, you do serious contesting, you do serious DXing. With the simple dipole or vertical, one can start and evolve from there. You can upgrade the station over the years to next level Yagis. Try to meet some new friends. Call CQ in the DX hours. Wait also for longer skip openings. That gives you additional mileage. That is the excitement part. Always there is a joy in operating with buddies. That is where we all start. But look for some new stations across the region, across the country, or outside the country as well. The more we operate from home QTH like that, our proficiency in operating improves. A lot of friends we make, a lot of new things or techniques we learn in the process. What happens when we are restricted to operate from home station and you are still passionate about operating? I normally operate contest and I search for some location. So I searched for HF contest, I searched for the beach locations or the location which is near to the salt areas or the high up which is in the clear position where I can put up a good amount of antennas and work. Major criteria are listed out here: free space, no nearby tall buildings, less public movement, and if you are staying at some place, you have to look for some affordable place, friendly place. Photo shows here are some of my antennas when I went portable last year, and the middle image out here is a tri-band VDA, which is a vertical dipole array for 3 bands. I made it only for the solo operation purposes. I utilized it for 2020 contest and also for Kapu Lighthouse activation. My portable HF station is not different than my home station because I did not set up any special portable. It is a Canode 590 SDR plays, LDMOS amplifier, VDAs, verticals. Slightly complex, heavy. Will plan to reduce all this and try to go as simple as possible going forward. So other antennas in such locations can be pan verticals, be inverted L for low bands, or delta loops, end fed half wave antennas, half square if you have 40 feet of coconut trees or tall trees in a good spacing. If you are technically inclined or capable, facing etc., you can also try phased verticals in beach locations and larger areas. Those are the things which we can try. Here is one picture from one of my portable operation where we went to a small place where we used all the coconut trees. We did elevated radials for 40, 80 and 160 meters. We could enjoy a lot within 2 days of operation. It was more focused on listening, observing the band, experimenting than contest or anything like that. We had a lot of fun doing this activity and we learned a lot of lessons. Field days, of course, there is a national VHF field day from ARSI every year as well, but it need not be every year activity. Buddies can group together, go to a remote location. Here is a map which is showing from one of the VHF field days, where mostly people select high places with the good line of sight in the direction of most ham population, and having fun without a repeater, without accessing the repeater. That is the major thing which we try in the field, right? We want to access each other's with the direct QSOs or one-to-one simplex QSOs. Sun is again waking up for the new cycle. It is getting warmed up every month. We are seeing increased number of sunspots, improvement in the solar flux, which will heat up our ionosphere, helping us in HF propagation. 24/7 DX is possible even with the inverted V's. When solar flux goes up, one or the other band will be open all the time. 2025 is expected to be the solar maximum of cycle 25. Even with the small 100 watt rig and humble dipole, I am sure we can get across the globe with some of the bands, like even the 20 meter band, 15 meter band, 10 meter band. All these bands will start opening up longer time, and DX will pop up right in front of us, even with the small setups like that. It is very exciting time we live in, and cycle 25 is just rising. Let us do it. These are some of my wire antennas for vertical parasitic arrays, loading coils, matching units and all that homebrewed activities. I would say no one is greater than other. Together we advance and make it great. People say that ham radio is a king of hobbies, and though few royals are also hams, one need not be a royal to enjoy it. It is our attitude and interest which can propel us towards new highs. We have to be hero on our own terms, respecting and doing the humble thing, giving back to the community. Thank you all for listening today. This presentation was originally made in 2020 for BARC, Bangalore Amateur Radio Club first, and then I revised this for Mangalore Amateur Radio Club in 2021 with additional materials, and now I am recording this for many more hams across the globe. Thank you very much once again and see you on the air very soon.